Our first guest tonight is Sarah Palin, the Republican nominee for president.
Hi Dave. How's it going? It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Welcome, Mrs. Palin. Now, I know you have a big announcement to make, so let's get right to it.
Well, you're right, Dave. You remember how Bill Clinton appeared on Jay Leno's show before he was elected president?
Yes, I remember that.
And President Obama appeared on Jay's show after he became president?
No, I haven't forgotten that one either.
Well, I thought I would give you an equal opportunity. I have an important announcement to make.
Well, that's mighty kind of you, Mrs. Palin. And what is your announcement?
Well, today, as promised, we are announcing our vice presidential nominee for the 2012 Palin campaign for president. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of my supporters who made my nomination possible. Woohoo! So, without further ado, please welcome the Republican Party nominee for Vice President, Bozo the Clown.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm overwhelmed at the opportunity that you've given me. And it's a great pleasure to be here, Dave.
Well, Bozo the Clown. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. I've always been a big fan. Well, not as much as a fan of Leno, or O'Brien perhaps, but still a big fan.
Right. Well, thanks, I guess. Mrs. Palin, could you please tell us why you selected pardon me, but how do you prefer to be called? Bozo the Clown? Mr. Clown? Just Bozo?
Well, after Election Day, I hope you can call me this President-elect Clown. But for now, simply Mr. Clown is fine.
Well, then. Mrs. Palin, could you please tell us why you selected Mr. Clown as your running mate?
Certainly. I'd be happy to do so. I think we're all familiar with Mr. Clown's accomplishments. Many of us grew up watching his show. Why, I remember when we lived in Eagle River, I'd come home after school and Mother would give me some cookies and milk and I'd turn on the TV and...
I think that would be a wonderful story to hear, Mrs. Palin, but could you please focus on some of the more recent events? What Mr. Clown will bring to the ticket, for example?
Well, first of all, Mr. Clown complements the ticket, providing strengths where I have weaknesses. Together we will make a strong team to defeat the Obama-Biden ticket.
Could you give us an example of how Mr. Clown complements the ticket then?
Of course. For one thing, Bozo can actually spell Afghanistan. Bozo, please show the studio audience.
With pleasure. Afghanistan. A. F. G. H. A. N. I. S. T. A. N. Afghanistan.
Now, could you use Afghanistan in a sentence, Mr. Clown?
I'd be happy to, Dave. The Palin Clown administration would quickly bring the Taliban to the negotiating table to end the Afghanistan conflict by bombing the Taliban back into the Stone Age. How's that?
Well, that's fine, I suppose. Mrs. Palin, given your selection of Bozo the Clown for your vice president, could you also give us some insight on your plans for cabinet posts? Secretary of State, for example? Who did you have in mind for that? Mr. Green Jeans?
Well, I see we have some leaks already. Who told you that, Dave? And when? That's privileged information, mister.
Well, I was just joking. But seriously, Mr. Green Jeans.
Well, I was hoping to keep this under wraps for a while, but yes, Mr. Green Jeans will be our Secretary of State.
And for Secretary of Health and Welfare, Mrs. Palin? Who did you have in mind for that? Miss Piggy?
Well, I see that the leaks have been more extensive than I anticipated. Who is your source, mister? I'll have him back working on a fishing boat with Todd before you can say Walla Walla, Washington.
And Bert and Ernie? What about them? Will they have a role in the Palin Clown administration?
Yes, we are in talks at the moment with Bert and Ernie. We haven't as yet finalized a cabinet position for either Bert or Ernie, but they will certainly be part of this administration.
Mrs. Palin, you realize of course that Bert and Ernie are merely puppets? That there is a real person giving them voices and manipulating their actions? You do realize that, don't you?
Yes, of course I'm aware of that. And there will be position in the Palin Clown administration for these people. Probably as senior advisors to their respective secretaries. And just let me say this. The Palin Clown administration will select cabinet members on the basis of ability. We will not let race, color, creed or the fact that the nominee is merely an inanimate object dissuade us from our choice. Now, Dave, I would like to give Bozo an opportunity to make a contribution of his own on this topic.
Thank you, Mrs. Palin. Now, would anyone like to see some tricks? I can pull a banana out of my nose.